Here we are. Oh my God, Chelsea. Hi, Chelsea.
Hi.
Long, long,
Sorry.
long, long
I
time.
know.
So happy
Sorry.
you're here.
Thanks. Sorry I'm late. I was running around trying to find my computer, but
Oh,
hi.
no problem. We're just getting started actually.
Okay.
Um,
So,
and we're gonna read the Parsha in a nutshell, and then we'll just do a little discussion, a short discussion. So, um, let's see. Miriam, do you wanna read the nutshell for us
oh, where is it?
on the screen? Do you see it?
Oh yeah, I see. Oh geez. Okay. Um, maybe somebody else because my
Okay,
phone. Yeah,
no problem.
I'm just on my
Uh,
phone. It's not.
Margarita, do you want to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Teamwork. Okay. The name of the Parsha Vayeshev means "and he dwelt," and it is found in Genesis 37:1. Jacob settles in Hebron with his 12 sons. His favorite is 17-year-old Joseph, whose brothers are jealous of the preferential treatment he receives from his father, such as a precious many-colored coat that Jacob makes for Joseph. Joseph relates to his brothers two of his dreams, which foretell that he is destined to rule over them, increasing their envy and hatred towards him. Simeon and Levi plot to kill him, but Reuben suggests that they throw him into a pit intending to come back later and save him. While Joseph is in the pit, Judah has him sold to a band of passing Ishmaelites. The brothers dip Joseph's special coat in the blood of a goat and show it to their father, leading him to believe that this his most beloved son was devoured by a wild beast. Judah marries, and his three children. The eldest heir dies young and childless, and his wife Tamar is given an levirate marriage to the second son, Onan. Onan sins by spilling his seed, and too meets an early death. Judah is reluctant to have his third son marry her. Determined to have a child from Judah's family, Tamar disguises herself as a prostitute and seduces Judah himself. Himself?
Yeah, basically, she
Oh,
married
I get it.
Judah based, as opposed to his. She was married to his sons, but now
Mm-hmm.
she's marrying her father-in-law.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Judah hears that his daughter-in-law has become pregnant and orders her executed for harlotry. But when Tamar produces some personal effects he left with her as a pledge for payment, he publicly admits that he is the father. Tamar gives birth to twin sons, Peretz, an ancestor of King David, and Zerach. Joseph is taken to Egypt and sold to Potiphar, the minister in charge of Pharaoh's slaughterhouses. God blesses everything he does, and soon he is made overseer of all his master's property. Potiphar's wife desires the handsome and charismatic lad. When Joseph rejects her advances, she tells her husband that the Hebrew slave tried to force himself on her. So much drama.
I
And
know.
has him thrown into prison. Joseph gains the trust and admiration of his jailers, who appoint him to a position of authority in the prison administration. In prison, Joseph meets Pharaoh's chief butler and chief baker, both incarcerated for offending the royal master. Both have disturbing dreams, which Joseph interprets. In 3 days, he tells them the butler will be released and the baker hanged. Joseph asks the butler to intercede on his behalf with Pharaoh. Joseph's predictions are fulfilled, but the butler forgets all about Joseph and does nothing for him.
Thank you. So there's so much in this parsha, um, and I mean, first of all, does anyone have any questions just about the shot, like the simple meaning or the simple overview of the parsha? I'd love to hear, and then we'll dive into just like one or two themes and concepts that are enlightening. And yeah, nobody has any questions? Okay.
It's so much. Like it's so much. Like I have a question. It's a lot.
Okay,
Um,
So the first thing that,
I never really learned about that first part about like her having a child with her father-in-law. Can you tell us a little bit what happened there?
yeah, so um basically Judah is has these three sons. And one of them basically they both are Aaron and Onan, both of the oldest two sons, do the sin of basically like spilling seed, which means they're not they didn't want to have kids. I think they didn't want like their wife's beauty to be like affected by having kids. And so they didn't want her to have kids. And they basically that's a sin to like have, whatever it is, like
Wait, I
ejectile.
have a question. Who is Judah
Yeah.
in relation to this? And I'm sorry for if
Oh,
I'm, yeah.
okay, so there's 12 tribes, and so we have um Ruvain, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zvulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Yosef, Benjamin. Those are the 12 tribes. Um, so we have Judah is like actually the one of the strongest of the 12 tribes. He represents like his symbol was a lion, the Lion of Judah, and he was um, actually the father of like most of the Jewish kings came after him. Um, so he had like he was the source of Jewish royalty. But what where he comes into this story is that we started off talking about one of the tribes, which is, Joseph and how his brothers were treating him. And then um it kind of goes on this tangent of the story of Judah, which is really feels random and like interrupting the story of Joseph. And then it goes back to the story of Joseph at the end, right? So this happens, it's somehow connected to this Parsha and the story of Joseph. Um, but basically, Judah and Joseph represent two different um, ways of serving God and two different paths in Judaism. Um, and that's like a whole idea in and of itself. But basically, um, Judah's one of the tribes, and this is what happened to him in this story. So his daughter-in-law, Tamar, ends up having a baby with him. And the very interesting idea with this whole story of Yehuda and Tamar is well, first of all, there's a lot of like sexuality in this parsha. So it's like there's a lot of, there's a lot, basically Torah is teaching a lot of lessons in what a moral sexual life is supposed to look like and how it's not supposed to look like. And like we see Joseph actually, um, withstanding Potiphar's wife, and we see um, Judah being involved in something that he didn't expect unknowingly, and we see his sons actually dying because they sinned sexually. So there's a lot of that theme, and it's really to teach us about I guess, the right way to live. But something interesting is that from Judah and Tamar comes Peretz, who is an ancestor of King David, who's an ancestor of the Mashiach. So we have Mashiach, actually, if you trace back Mashiach's roots, um, and King David's roots, there's a lot of stories of people like let's say the first time we hear, if you're going all the way back, Lot is Abraham's nephew. He was living in Sodom when it was destroyed. He ran away with his family. His wife turned back, turned into a pillar of salt, basically got killed. And he was with his daughters and him in a cave all by themselves. And they thought that the whole world was destroyed and they were the only ones left. So the daughters actually were intimate with their father, and they had kids from their father because they thought we have to repopulate the world. And that's kind of like the first source that we see Mashiach is going to come from this path, this ancestry. So those were Moab and Ammon, and Ruth came from Moab, if anyone's following. Sorry, I'm like dropping a lot of names. But Ruth came from Moab, and if you know the story of Ruth and Boaz, um, Ruth basically is the grandmother of King David. So and Mashiach will come from King David. So the elevation of the whole humanity and the whole world is going to happen through Mashiach, and it comes from a very dark, corrupt way. So like we have the greatest light basically had to like weave its way, like go through this like birth canal, so to say, like of the deepest darkness and the deepest galus, the deepest exile, the deepest. It basically had to come from the depths of the of the of this universe, of this earthly world, the materialism and like and whatever it is, the way that that the people were behaving in these stories, and out comes the highest light and the highest redemption. So it's kind of an interesting theme that we see that this is a very important story, Judah and Tamar, because actually King David came from them and also Mashiach will come from them as well. Um, so in Chassidus in general, it says like the highest light, and the highest sourced things fall down in the deepest depths. So like you'll find the soul of Mashiach had to go through this process. Um, that's what I have to say on that. Anything if, is was that clear at all or any questions?
It's just like it's kind of wild, like through incest, right, and deceit comes, that great thing can still come from, some pretty
Yeah,
nasty stuff. Like it's pretty deep. I don't know.
yeah, you're right.
And just one last confirmation, we're talking about two different timelines in this parsha.
It's a good question. Is so it's not really clear about the timing of this because the Torah is not usually in chronological order. Let me see. There's a note here. It says on this page, it shows the chronology of the Judah Tamar incident. And it says that it could be that it is in the actual timeline, the actual order of events. Yeah, it basically could have been like the same time as this whole Joseph story happened. Because Joseph was the youngest brother, and Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Judah was the fourth to oldest. So like they were different generation. I mean, you could say they were like a different generation, like Joseph was only 17 when he was sold, and Judah was already having um he already had kids that were married, basically. Okay, so something that I wanted to just talk about about Joseph is that I mean, not even going into the idea of his brothers selling him. Like how did that come about? They were all like considered righteous people, tzaddikim. Um, Basically, in general, I think the idea was that they thought he was prophesizing. He was Jacob was going to basically just give him all the spiritual and physical gifts and, that be the sole heir of the Jewish people when it was really supposed to be divided into all 12 tribes. And so for that reason, they're like, you're actually like, you're right in Jewish law, you're only allowed to kill someone if they're coming to kill you. I mean, that's one of the big fundamentals in Jewish law about murder. And so they saw it as a spiritual and physical like murder, Joseph was going to wipe them all out off the face of the earth. Like he was going to be the sole inheritor to all of Abraham, Abraham, like, Isaac, Jacob's, whatever we're talking about, the inheritance of the Jewish nation and going through the forefathers and passing it on to the children and being the start of the Jewish nation. They thought that Joseph was claiming it all for himself. Because he was having these dreams like, you're all going to serve me, you're all going to bow to me, I'm going to be the leader, I'm going to be the ruler. And even whatever, he had those multiple dreams. So that was like their reasoning. And at the same time, you see that they have like deep regret at the end of the story when they come back to Egypt. But something that I want to share about Joseph is that he's in Potiphar's house and he is put into jail, right? So there's something, a special lesson that we learned from this story over here. And that is that Joseph was put into prison in as a slave. So he's a slave and he's put into prison. He could have like fallen into the depths of depression and sorrow and just lost it, like gave up. And instead, he notices that when other people are upset, and he notices that the butler and the baker are confused about their dreams, and they look down, and he goes over to them and he says, "Hi, well, how are you? What's going on? What's doing?" And basically, he takes the role of being, proactive and actually being checking in on people and being a giver instead of just like wallowing in his own sorrow. And because of this, that he literally just goes and says, "How are you? What's going on? Why do you guys look down?" Because of that one question, "Hey, what's up?" He literally changed his whole life story around. And he was able to um, he interpreted their dreams, and then the butler remembered him later on, and he told Pharaoh, "Oh, I know someone who could interpret dreams." And then Joseph was taken out of prison and become second in command of the whole entire Egypt. So that was the progression that comes later in the other parshas. But here at the end of the parsha, we see this one little story which turns everything, his whole story around. And that's literally just saying, "Hey, how are you? What's going on?" And noticing. And like when it's such a huge lesson for us. Like, first of all, when things happen to us, of course, it's important to like go through your feelings and process things and everything, but make sure you don't drown in it, right? You have to make sure you get up and you get back on your feet and you move forward and you um, don't drown. And the second of all is the best way to come out of your own sorrow also is checking in on other people and being a giver and helping other people and being there for others. That's the best way to come out of your own darkness and your own um, sorrow. So there's actually in Letters for Life, which is a book that I've been looking at. The whole first chapter is about that. Oh, I sent it to some of you, right? Letters for Life. So the first chapter is about this idea.
My favorite story out of that one is the grandma who went and danced at all the weddings of the girls who didn't have family. And like she ended up dancing at thousands of weddings and like was known in Crown Heights. Did you know her?
No, but
I love that story. How the Rebbe told her, like, "Oh, you're depressed, go dance at weddings."
it's Yossi Jacobson's grandmother. Okay. So that's incredible. Like that's a perfect example, right? Like she's feeling down and the Rebbe says, "Go dance at weddings, go make other people happy," and that pulls her out of her of her pit. Like Joseph was thrown into the pit, and that's of her prison. So um that's really the main, I think, lesson we get from this Parsha. There's so many other lessons to learn from Yosef that I would love to talk about in the following weeks. Then we're still going to be talking about Yosef for the next like 2, 3 weeks, so I'm really excited. He is the coolest, and there's so much to learn from him. So, anyone want to share something about this idea about that we just spoke about, like about let's say doing things for other people and that pulls you out of your own prison, or how, one interaction, positive interaction, an uplifting interaction can really change the trajectory of your whole um, rest of your life. If you experience something like that, or you have something to say about it, a comment, a question.
I mean, like even how cold it is right now in the
Wait, is everyone?
city, Bronx, and went down to Long Island City, and we had a really good time. And even though it was freezing, uh, and I'm going through what I'm going through, she's going through what she's going through. We made it, and we had a great time. And it was a blessing just to see Rivka and her mother and her mother's story. So yeah, Friday night was awesome. And even though I didn't want to leave my house, we did, and we got it done, and we had a great time. I think we had a great time, and
Yeah.
so I'm thankful for that. You know,
Yeah, it's usually you usually don't regret it when you
right, 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 right.
And it takes a friend to get you to schlep to Long Island City, so thank you for that.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a really cute Chabad.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they're cool.
yeah.
Long Island City.
Rivka says hello, by the way.
Yay.
Hanamika. Yeah, Rivka says hello.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm happy you guys went. So yeah, that's a great example, Miriam. And anyone else want to share? Lador, Chelsea, Shosh. I think
I
Shosh.
just think maybe mine's less hopeful, but I'm thinking about the times in life where you see people really depressed and they don't get out and they manage to just keep kind of maybe spiraling downward.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like an interesting piece of advice to offer friends that might be going into that
Yeah.
instead. I really like the story about dancing at all the weddings.
Yeah, it's really the best piece of advice. If you get your hands on a copy of Letters for Life, or maybe I can text you some pictures of the first few pages. I think the whole chapter is about this idea of getting out of your own darkness and your own spiraling by looking outward and turning outward instead of, because a lot of the times when people are dealing with depression, it's just so self-absorbing, and like they can't even like think about anyone else because it's so all-consuming. So it's definitely not like the only solution for like clinical depression, but it is good advice for trying to work your way out. Margarita, do you want to share something?
It sounds similar. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
just that in the book, like I think that they were saying like that's the most popular advice he would give. Like it's not, it sounds very simple, but it's like needed. You need to remind yourself that sometimes
yeah,
or often.
yeah. And especially nowadays, it's easy to just get caught up in like, interacting with people through technology and not in person. And I think in person is a huge like role in this, like actually meeting people and talking to people in person and is a whole nother level of uplifting, and it's just there's nothing to compare.
Um, I wanted to bring up a conversation that I had with my really good friend. Um, and she was kind of opening up a little bit about, feeling sad in her relationship. Um, she carries like a lot. on her shoulders. She's like a very type A, get stuff done type of person. Um, and, feeling sometimes like sad that she's not getting that sort of help from her partner. And I kind of, the conversation sort of drifted into a place where, I was like, let him help you. Like, allow him, give him space to help you. Like, have him know what are the things that you need help with, so that he could step up for you. And through him giving, like, that is how he can love as well and show his love. I'm trying to bring it back into, it is sort of like, in a way, like giving, but it's also like being able to receive love,
Mm-hmm.
and allowing people to help you as well. And maybe that there's like two ends to this concept, which is like allowing people to step up for you, allowing people to love you, to be there for you. And I'm just kind of
Yeah,
thought about it in that way as well.
100%. Um, that's a huge issue in general in dynamics between men and women, and I think that women in general are meant to learn how to receive the love and first of all express their desires to their men and also be able to receive what their men want to give. And that's in Kabbalah, there's like men are considered givers and women are considered receivers. So it's a big concept in Judaism, actually. Um, and yeah, totally. Like if the butler and the baker didn't want to tell him what was wrong, then they would have never gone down that route, and they wouldn't have had their dreams interpreted, right? Like they actually shared what was bothering them, um, and yeah, I think it's very true, Lador. Women have to. I think about it a lot, and I've always had to work on that, like expressing yourself and your needs and your desires, but also in a way that you don't feel like needy and you don't feel like you're being annoying or it's very nuanced, but it's definitely I think when a woman expresses her like says like I would love something or I would love if you could do this or I would love to have this, then it awakens something in a man that wants to provide that and wants to fill those needs. So um it's definitely a great idea that you brought up. Thank you, Ladora. And we could talk about that also offline more if you want. Um, okay, so guys, I'm gonna end with that. Thanks for coming on today. All these fun new faces, Chelsea and Shosh fell off, but great to see you.
Oh,
And
I'm here.
thanks, Miriam and Lador and Margarita.
Thanks, guys.
And I guess,
Chelsea's here too.
yeah, I see Chelsea. Um,
Uh,
and just, I guess for this week, if you want to live with the Parsha, which is always great, um, we could think about how we could like make an extra effort to just check in on how people are doing and say something uplifting to a friend, a family member, and that makes all the difference.
No.
Okay, bye guys. Thanks for
Thank
coming in.
you.
Have a good week, everyone.
You too, Hannah. Thank you.
Okay, bye.